You wanted to make copies? right?
Yeah, so they can see what it came to me, like 2 pages. Or you can give it to them to see it. Anyways,
What do you want me to
it's-
take? You want me to take copies of them now?
we have these letters, because
I didn't see these letters, no.
it says here that you know.
I know what
O'Brien
it says,
did-
but I didn't see
You
this.
didn't? Okay. Well, I got these letters from the Environmental Facilities Corporation. It's one for the 2 grants. One is for the grant at the $931,000, and the other one is for $1 million for the wastewater treatment plant. And this is what it says. Dear Mayor Landis, on behalf of Governor Andrew Cuomo, I'm pleased to inform you that your community has been awarded a New York State Water Infrastructure Improvement Act grant for the above reference project. The project is DPP reduction project. Anyways, that's for the water plant. The Environmental Facilities Corporation is...
That's disinfectant byproducts.
Oh, okay. Disinfectant byproducts, I'm sorry, right. So your grant has been awarded in an amount not to exceed $931,031 based on information provided in your application, including total estimated eligible project cost. The EFC will determine the actual amount of the grant when your project is complete, and EFC confirms the final project cost. Your grant may be reduced if total project costs are less than anticipated, or if your project receives grant from another source. Please confirm your acceptance of the grant award and intend to proceed with this project by completing and signing the enclosed form and emailing to the address no later than October 27th. Without your confirmation, we may bypass your project and award these grant funds to another community. If you choose to proceed with entering into a Clean Water State revolving fund project finance agreement with EFC, unless otherwise notified by the corporation, the village must execute an agreement with EFC no later than April 15, 2019, or the grant award may be forfeited. Upon receipt of the confirmation, members of our EFC and DOH, Department of
Health.
Team will conduct you to guide you through the program requirements and financing process to answer any of your questions. It's pretty much the same, just for this different amount. And there is here something that we have to, probably the engineers have to put this information in, right?
Yeah, there's a lot of things that need to be done, yeah. The engineers, and then you have to hire a financial advisor to do reporting requirements. There's a bunch of stuff that needs to be satisfied under the grant.
Right, but supposedly this has to be returned to them by the 27th, which is about two weeks from now.
Short order.
10 days?
Yeah,
About 10 days.
10 days, yeah. So you think you're going to be able to do that? 10 days, just email, so,
Mhm. I don't see why not.
okay. I mean,
I think we could have a resolution at the next board meeting to accept the grant.
okay, which is, it's next Monday. Okay, so this is what it came today.
On these grants here, who administers them? The engineering firm, or do we have to administer them somewhat of ourselves?
Well, that's what
That's
I was
what the-
talking about, the
You said
the financial.
Financial part, yeah.
Yeah, the financial people, that you hire, they'll run, basically making sure that they're following all the paperwork, and they're submitting the paperwork to,
Who hires the financial people?
we do,
We do.
yeah.
So we do need to hire somebody like...
Municipal
Modelo,
Solutions.
Municipal Solutions to do that.
So that could be then, that have to be a second resolution for Monday then? Or that could be a separate one?
Well, I don't think, that doesn't have to be done by Monday. You have to have them
Accept
in
it.
place once the grants are granted, and now you got paperwork to do.
Well, that's not part of what has to be written?
No, there's no requirement to do that there.
Okay.
yeah.
Okay, so basically that was what I wanted to let you know happened. And
On those grants, like each one, how much does each grant offset the total cost roughly?
The total of the two projects is $6.3 million, $6.319 million. So it offsets about 33.5% of the total cost.
Mhm.
That's, wow, good deal.
About a third of the cost.
plus, we're going to have the opportunity, at least with Wendell, to prioritize and not do everything together, as they were saying in the beginning, which means we won't need to put the whole amount straight out. Which is going to give us a little more time to do it. Right? Right?
Mhm.
That's, all right. So if you want to see the letters are here. Jimmy?
Just, you guys, the committee for the attorneys, we're moving forward, and we should be able to sit down as an executive session, I would assume, at next meeting to either interview or discuss those candidates.
I wanted to interview, we finished with everybody, and we have 2 candidates for the whole board. So I would like to interview them as soon as possible.
Can we do that Monday? Will we have time on Monday? In executive session?
We have to make time,
Yeah,
because
yeah.
all 5 of you have to be here, depending on when they can come. I want you to, talk to them. Both of them, I'm very comfortable with. So,
So let's try to do that, if we can, schedule it for Monday.
During the executive session.
Right, yeah.
Right.
Because next week I've got something every night of the week. So if we could do it on Monday, that would be
Yeah,
great.
we could schedule them like
That's all. yeah.
half hour apiece.
Sure. Would we do that like early, like before?
That's a good question. I don't know. You want to do one before the meeting and one after, or you
Yeah.
want to do both of them before?
I'm
I
okay
mean,
with
if you
both
want to
before,
start
whatever your schedules are.
if you want to start at 5 o'clock,
That'll
that's
be
fine.
good,
Yeah, let's do
actually.
that.
Whatever you want to
If
try
that's okay
that?
with everybody?
That'd be good with me too.
Okay.
Start at 5?
Sure.
Because if we finish by 6, then we have another half hour to decide what to do. Right.
Some time for discussion. Yeah,
Right, right.
good idea.
Just one thing, I think it's something that we have to discuss in executive session. When we go to that, these second interviews, I think we should have a little more specifics for them. as
Like
to-
questions, you mean, like specific questions?
Well, specific as to what we offer, what they want,
Oh, okay.
because we're kind of vague in that. And, they have different requirements.
Would it make any sense to meet in executive session tonight to discuss those? If we're not going to discuss these until after we meet with them, or do you want to discuss anything beforehand?
You talking about like job requirements, what we want of them?
Yeah,
Okay.
job and money.
We could do that tonight.
I would feel more comfortable discussing it before we meet with them, so we have an understanding of how we're moving
Right.
forward with that.
Sure.
All right, great, that's very good. Anything else?
Well, seeing if we get some updates on a number of items. We talked about the water treatment plant, and the funds to go forward with that. Does that include also the any of the dam repairs, or is that just the facility?
No.
That's another portion.
Like she read the DVP, that's the disinfectant byproduct in the water.
Right.
So that's after the process of cleaning the water.
Right. And any further information on the quality of the water repairs for the certain specific area that's coming after you?
Fly.
He's flying up there.
Where'd it
So
come
happens
from?
to you after a while, if you work here a while.
They follow you, right?
For the, different areas of the village, for the pipe, the issues with the water quality as far as those, the pipeline, will we get any further information on that?
Yep, we're setting up a meeting with them, we're trying for sometime next week to set it up with Mainline, whatever that company was,
Right.
the engineers.
Okay, good.
Were there any grants out for the infrastructure part coming up? That I wonder if engineers would be looking into that. 'Cause that'd be
We should
super.
ask, that would be a question that we could ask Brian here.
I think they didn't they say that in their letter, that they would assist with that?
Yes, I
Yes,
thought they did.
They did say that, so I don't know.
When do we expect to have them come give us a
Yeah.
presentation? They were gonna come give us a
Yeah,
presentation.
they want to meet with the
After the mainline people?
Also.
Okay,
Mainline
Right.
America or something like that.
okay, so after
It's
that.
called, so, yeah.
And they're gonna come stripe. Was that an affirmative? They're gonna come stripe the road up on top of Water Street the next time they have a crew
The state was going to do that,
in the
right?
area? Did they actually
What's that?
say they're gonna do
I
it?
think the county was gonna do
Oh, the county's
Oh,
going
that
to
was
do
the
it?
county. Yeah,
Okay.
that was the county.
The county?
Okay.
County, yeah, they,
Mhm.
yeah, I forwarded it again.
Yeah, we talked about that last meeting,
Right, but I didn't know if
Yeah.
they're, like, when can we
yeah.
expect
That's the question.
it to happen?
I
When?
don't know if they had us, they just gave us when they happen to be in. doing
In
that.
town?
It could be springtime.
When they're here with their
Right, right,
painting
when they're
machine.
here with their machine.
Yeah, I know,
When's that gonna
they
be?
just did the road up there.
Right.
I
Right.
mean, they just striped it, so I don't know.
Well,
when they'll
they
be
won't
back.
come just for that. Next
Right.
time they'll be here, they just can't extend that.
And then at the wastewater treatment plant, this funding will be able to go to repairs in there.
There's quite a bit of
Is there
repairs.
quite a bit, where do we stand in that, the repairs? I mean, how much of this will go cover that?
Was it 3-point-something million?
They-
4.8 million.
Yeah.
They gave us a plan, if you remember, a while ago.
Yeah, they're giving us 1.192 against the project cost of 4.768 million.
Right. So then, the other thing issue with down there is we had some staffing needs, are we any further in that area? Moving forward with that?
Yep, canvas letters are in the mail.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, actually, they should probably have them
Good.
due back here. When did I have due back here? Maybe like the 20th or somewhere around there. Is the 20th Friday? Yeah, I usually
Mhm.
make them back on a Friday. So they're probably due on the 20th.
There was, one time a request from the North County Water District for easement at 5, is that anything we have to look at at this point?
I took it that they were going to stay in the states right away.
That's what I
I
thought.
I notified the state that we have infrastructure going under there, so I asked the guy from the state DOT, I said, you know, you need to protect the village's interest when they're going across the right-of-way in the state's right-of-way of our infrastructure that's there, so they're aware of it.
Because there hasn't been any further requests or any, so
No.
I just wanted to get an update on that. As long, as far as we know, they're going to stay in the right way.
That's what I understand.
Okay. There was talk of this county shared services with the compost possibility of shared services with Dunkirk and compost system at the wastewater treatment plant. Do we have any intentions of, I guess, looking at with or without this grant that the county might win? Maybe? When does that come out? Do we know?
We don't know exactly, soon.
Soon, like
That's-
October, or soon, like 2017?
Yeah,
or
2018, 19.
It can be, I don't think it's going to be in the new year. I think at the latest has to be sometime end of November, beginning of December, where the CFAs are coming out. So I expect, they said before that, it was supposed to be out actually a month ago. So
I would expect that's more or less contingent on that? Is that what is?
Well, because that's not one of the projects that we're doing.
No, it's not, it is not, it's
No,
not. a-
okay.
I'm-
Yeah, because they're
no,
just
it's
going
not.
to take a look at it to see if it's feasible or not.
Okay. And then, okay, then at the DPW, where we're at with the, moving forward to appoint 2 working supervisors. Yeah, there was a next step in that.
Well, there needs to be some discussion of that in executive session.
Okay.
Okay, that'll be in the second executive session. Mhm.
Can I just interject quickly? That there were, some people approached me about the trash all over the park today.
Oh, I know.
Not happy.
It should all been at least bagged.
Those
Should've
cans out there are full, they're overflowing, and there's stuff.
Well, they
all
had a
over.
water break again this morning.
Oh, okay.
Well, actually, the water break happened yesterday over on Birchwood.
Oh, no.
So they had a water break, plus they were working on the road here,
Right,
and you know, it blew all around with that wind that moved
Right.
through last night.
yeah.
So, yeah, I know, I saw it and I said, you know.
What's all that
should
stuff from? Is it from
That's-
the
I don't know,
farmer's
what-
market?
No, Wood Festival was here. They had quite a few people.
It was a lot of.
They-
people.
Oh, did
I
they?
think- is
Did
that
I even
music
drive
in
through
the
town?
park?
That
Or
was-
that was the
music is
Harvest
ours?
Festival.
Harvest Festival.
A harvest festival?
Harvest.
That was, they had quite a few people, they had a lot of
Yeah, and it
people.
was nice to see a
Yeah.
lot of the.
Very
people
successful,
from
I think,
college
yeah.
here, young,
Weather?
it was a wonderful day,
Yeah.
yeah, we did.
Someone
Really well.
mentioned to me, or they had a question about, I'm sorry, as long as you're talking about
No,
the
go ahead. No,
DPW,
you're
sort of,
good.
sort of segues into it.
That's right.
Would it be possible to maybe require people that they carry out their own garbage?
Supposed to be that when
Yes, it
when the
is.
resolution is passed.
Okay.
that, You know,
Says
you're
that in there.
responsible for your everybody usually just packs up
Leaves
their
it there.
garbage and leaves it.
Right.
They're supposed to remove it from the park. They're not
Okay.
supposed to just pack the bins that
Does
are out
that-
there and
does
set
everybody
everything
live in
around.
there?
I'm sorry?
Does everybody live in there, all the festival?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, we have to make it a point then.
Even the farm festival,
Maybe when we-
farmers market,
yeah.
on weekends, they do the same thing. They fill up the thing
Right.
over here, and then, you know, when the kids come at night, you know, those things
Gets all
are
over.
full.
Maybe when we do a resolution, we should be more specific,
Yeah.
specifically
Yeah,
say
to
you have to
remove
carry it
it.
out, you have to
Yeah.
remove it from the park or
Remove it
something like
From the
that.
area.
Yeah.
That's a good point.
I mean, where would they put it?
I don't know, that's the other
Take it
question.
up to
Get rid
Russell
of it.
Joy?
Where is
Put it
there
on a
to put
pickup
it?
truck, you put it on a pickup truck and then take it up to the dump.
Take it to the dump.
Yeah, just like we would do.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah. That's,
Okay, again, with the DPW, we were discussing the mulch compost sites. There's that one we used, been using temporarily on Eagle Street, but the Webster Road one specifically. Where are we at with the tub grinding and the equipment possibly needed to clear that site? I had talked to Perry a little bit about it, but
well, Perry was here last week and spoke about it.
yeah, and
They're,
I just wondered how
fixing,
much
they're fixing the site up there, so they can't do anything until the site is fixed. And then once they fix the site, then we're going to reappropriate some of the capital money that Perry had in his budget for the tub grinder, get the tub grinder up there, grind the stuff, and basically we're starting clean from square one.
Was it my impression last week they said they were going to be all set to haul leaves up there? They weren't?
Yeah.
The Eagle Street site is not going to be used at all.
Anymore.
ever
No,
again.
Right.
We're not dumping
Yeah.
anything
That's
there.
what I thought.
It's all
he said.
going up to, I think he said he had dozers up there as well,
Yeah,
clearing too.
that's
so
what
Yeah.
they're doing.
Yeah, he was
There
gonna
should
get
be
dozers
enough.
up there to clear it and.
They were hauling millings up there to put down on the road, and
Base.
creating
New
the
base,
base.
a
and-
wider road.
Because apparently
more
there's a
stable.
lot of wetland back in there, so they want to be able to pull trucks and that stuff, so
Yeah.
they're putting a bunch of millings in there so that they
You
can
mentioned the
use that.
possibility of possibly sharing that site with the town of Pomfret to some degree. Is that, did anybody hear anything more on that?
I wasn't aware of that, I guess. That was the first that I heard of that, but I don't
He
know.
mentioned it to me.
Yeah, no, I
that
know,
they
he
had-
mentioned that last week, too.
Right, yeah, so I just didn't know.
I think
you
if
heard
we,
anything
if
more.
we can do something like that, it wouldn't be a bad idea.
Right,
If
I
we
think
can
it's a good
share.
idea. Or it seems like a good idea.
It
And
could help
then you would
offset
have to
some
share
costs.
the tub grinder and that
Right,
kind of
exactly,
stuff.
and apparently, Perry, when he talked to them, they felt that that might be a
think that's a good
possibility
idea,
and
actually.
reduce costs for both.
Mhm.
So we can look further.
But I think in order to
further
make
into
that happen, I think there has to be some kind of agreement with the town.
Oh,
And
sure,
when
we
there's
have to.
money that's going to exchange hands,
Correct,
Mhm.
yeah.
kind of like you have with the Russell Joy Park, where it's a
Right.
shared facility.
Right.
And, we pay up front, and then the town reimburses us for that, but that would be
So we could look
the
further.
same
It has
type of
it
an
has to be
agreement.
something written.
Yeah,
not said.
normally they would just do it, like we send trucks to help the town sends trucks in to help us. I
Right.
mean, those things, but there's no money that
Sort-
transfers hands, but when
Okay.
you have something like that, where there's gonna be
Right.
expense associated with it, they need to know to budget
Mhm.
a certain amount of money in their budget, along with the village budgeting amounts in our
Right,
budget too.
so that'd be something that we should probably look into right
Sure.
at this point.
Yeah,
Sure.
I think so.
I think it's a good idea, yeah.
Speaking of the site, is that secure? I guess there's gates on it, but I mean, if we're making that our main site now to haul everything up there, I would hate to have.
On Webster Road, you mean?
Yeah.
It is, well, it's got gates, so.
Okay,
Yeah, we don't want the same kind of problem that we
Problem.
had on Eagle Street.
Right.
happen up there.
Right.
Yep.
Even further up.
It'll be worse, yeah.
Right.
And the equipment purchase, that there was a holdup on some of the equipment for a little while for the purchase that was purchased for the DPW. Is that all, do we have it now in-house?
What
Tractors,
equipment?
there was, I think it was tractors, Perry was mentioned that.
We're not going to get the last meeting you approved the
Right.
purchase of the tractor
Right.
and the mower attachment.
Right.
We're not getting
Sure.
that tractor anymore because
Oh.
there was an issue with the supplier. So
Yeah,
we're
that's what I was
going to
wondering.
move to a different tractor.
Okay.
So we may not get that tractor now until February because we're going to cancel the contract with the original one.
Hmm.
But Perry feels that's not going to be an issue. He said that he'll jury rig the tractor that we have in order to use it, still use it, so. But yeah, there was an issue with the ability of the tractor that we wanted to hook up that mower attachment to it. And they wanted more money for us
To do
for
it.
them to retrofit that tractor, and Perry just said, no, that wasn't the arrangement.
No.
The agreement was, we were gonna be able to hook this mower attachment onto the tractor
Right.
and move on with life without any additional expenses.
So is there going to be a cost difference to this new?
Yeah, he said there'd probably be a reduction of about $5,000. It's a little bit smaller tractor than the one that we had. It's gonna be a John Deere tractor,
Okay.
so
Will
it's a
that
good
require-
quality
Will that require a
tractor.
new resolution then? or not?
Yeah, we're gonna have to cancel the one we did, and then we're gonna have to have another one. They're drawing up all of the details of it, and then we'll have another one
Okay.
to approve.
Was this the sidewalk tractor?
Yeah.
Plowed for the winter?
Yeah.
So they're going to utilize the old one still somewhat?
Yeah. Mhm.
Um, The fire department, I'm going to move on to the fire department. The concrete work is now completed now? Do they have anything left to do on that? It's all set.
Well done.
And the building repairs, we're at,
We've already contracted with them. It's up to them whenever
The
they
new-
get to.
engineering study.
Oh, yeah, the engineer came down, took a look at it. They're working on the proposal back to the village.
Any timeline on that? For this
No,
one?
he didn't give us a timeline.
And, of course, we're working on on the possible chief's position, which we'll have a meeting tomorrow. We're hoping to have it today, but Phyllis couldn't make it, so it'll be a meeting tomorrow with volunteers
Okay.
and union representatives and Phyllis and myself. So we can't move on that till we move forward.
Was that going to be your first meeting, Jim?
Yeah, that's gonna be the first one, hopefully, the first and only one.
Hopefully
If
the only one.
If we're lucky, it'll go smooth, and then we can move forward to the next meeting.
Did everybody read, by the way, the job description that I gave you at the last meeting?
Mhm.
Everybody's okay with that?
Yeah.
Okay with it?
Okay.
Mhm.
Okay, and with the police department, any further thought on the possibility of looking for a school resource officer for this new year?
Actually, I emailed the superintendent about last Friday about it.
Okay.
I didn't get a response yet because it was supposed to discuss it with his board and get back to me. He never did. And on Friday, I sent an email to see what's going on.
You basically can't do anything until they request.
Right.
I think they're reaping a lot of the benefits without the cost right now. They call us 2-3 times a week we're up at that school.
Really?
Pulling
2-3
our
times a
road
week.
patrol.
Two, three
I
times a
don't-
week.
Are you
We're up there twice last week.
Are you
Moving
logging
around.
all these times so I can, because if I call and I want to be able to say that.
It
Right.
doesn't come close to what you get with an SRO to have us respond, deal with the crisis and leave.
Mm-hmm.
But we're responding to the school as requested on a very regular basis, frequently for walk-off students. Students who are leaving school, they're contacting the police to go out and look for those students. Because they don't have a truant officer of any nature, so we're, in our travels, keeping our eyes open for.
So you say at least once a week we are there.
Yeah, I would say that that's a conservative, yes, once a week you would be safe with saying we're there.
Okay.
Or called to assist. It may be just go look for somebody, it may not, you don't even need to go to the school, but go look for.
Yeah, no,
Truant children.
something that has to do with the school, yeah.
Okay.
Well, last week I see you removed individuals too, so I mean, it's also, there's been issues probably other than that.
That was a student who needed to be removed from the school. He was acting unruly and they needed police assistance to remove him from school.
So is there like more incidents than last year?
Probably so far this year, huh?
I think so.
I would venture to say yes,
Yeah.
but I would feel more comfortable if I had the figures in front of me. Part of the problem is that sometimes the information isn't being entered into the system as, like if it's a walk-off student, sometimes the person entering the information isn't putting it in as the school, they're putting it in as the police department. It's a call for service and they're using our calls, so I'm trying to rectify that with my dispatchers to make sure that the calls are getting entered and using the school address. If there's an accident, even if it's in the general vicinity of the school, frequently that accident is put in as the school's address for a location. So you can't just go and enter the school's address and say, yeah, we were there 12 times last month. You have to sit and look
Sure,
at
yeah.
every
No,
one of
of
those to
course.
make sure they're an accurate event at the school.
Of course.
But it seems like your cars have been at the school more
Yeah.
this start of the school year than you have been in the past. And it's kind of just disturbing, actually, that we have those kind of individuals cropping up this year, I think.
Yes.
Like, I don't understand, the same kids were there last year, right?
No.
Not
You have
necessarily.
people coming in and out.
We have a lot more transients than we used to, so people move back and forth.
All right.
I know this wasn't something we had, but we had talked about, it's not in the budget, but as a the drug task force officer, we had talked about the possibility in the new year or something. I don't know if that's something that would be,
I think we should discuss that very, in much more detail, so we know exactly what needs to be done and, like, we pay for the drug tax officer, correct? That's,
Just so that everyone understands, if you participate in the drug task force, your officer is assigned to the task force. You pay for the officer, he's yours, but he's assigned to the task force. It's a north end it's a countywide task force, but there are two branches. There's a north end branch and a south end branch. So that individual would spend most of their time working drug cases in the north end, along with the sheriff's department and the Dunkirk Police Department, who have officers assigned to it. So yes, the answer is we would pay for him, but he would be with the task force. But as I've said in the past, if obviously if you have an officer assigned to the task force, they're going to spend more time and pay more attention to the communities where officers, where taxpayers are investing their money. So, you know, while they would argue the point and say, oh no, you know, we're here for you anytime you call, the truth of the matter is obviously they're going to spend more time in Dunkirk and out in other places in the north end of the county because those are the places that are paying for the service.
Well, village taxpayers do pay for the service, but they're paying the county.
The county, that's
You pay
correct.
county
Right.
tax for the,
Right.
Our
the
problem is
sheriffs that are on
that
there.
you, and they are, I will tell you that we've done 3 or 4 cases in the village with the drug task force. If you've read in the paper, you'll see that we've been involved with the drug task force. Lieutenant Bentley has been very, very attuned to my situation. He's made his people available. We've worked 3 or 4 cases in the last 3 months within the village. Some cases that actually ended with arrests outside the village were actually worked on in the village as the cases were being prepared. And, you know, the other side of this is getting that information from the community. You know, I would urge community members that if you feel that there's drug activity happening in your community, please don't hesitate to call the Fredonia Police Department, make me aware of it, so that we can start monitoring it and looking at it. I know sometimes people call and then they don't feel like anything's done. The truth is, it takes a long time to work a drug case if the individuals who are involved in the situation are small time and they're not, they don't have a large customer base. It's very difficult to work your way into that group of people and have the opportunity to buy drugs from those people. It takes a long time. I know it seems like we're not doing anything, but we are.
Should we be looking towards federal funding to help out, or federal assistance, or do you work with the DEA, or that kind of stuff, or?
Well, the Chautauqua County Sheriff's Department has a deputy assigned to the DEA all the time. The DEA will make themselves available to us if the case warrants it. You're dealing with you're dealing with federal offenses or New York State offenses. So there are cases that, while they can lend assistance, they may not take the case. It may not result in federal charges, but they'll help us. As far as money goes, because we're a village, that money is, those state and federal funds find their way into city programs and county programs. They don't find their way into village programs. So places like, you know, for weed and seed, places like the cities, they get federal money.
So practically, let's say, if we have a drug task force officer, what would be different with us? Like, okay, in general, they will pay more attention, let's say. But practically, like, how much more attention? What that exactly means? How many more cases? How faster? I mean.
Well, an example would be the ability to take undercover officers in 3 or 4 undercover cars and just work a house. Just watch that house, take off cars that are coming and going from that house.
So you take from the whole force, somebody who is from other places, like he can be from Dunkirk,
Sure.
as long as with us, you know, our officer, and go to a house
Well,
here in
what
Fredonia.
might happen is they may have 2 undercover officers sitting on a house in the village, and they may watch that house for a week. And they may write down plates and get names and start working the case. Then they may try and take that car off as it travels down the road. And they'll use a uniformed, marked car to take that to make a stop on that car when they're fairly confident that that car will have drugs in it. But I don't have the resources to put plainclothes officers in on my cars
Right.
to watch these houses for the duration of time that it takes to watch a house and build a case. And those are the types of things that you get.
In your estimation, would it be beneficial to us to do this?
Yeah, I never felt we should have gotten off that task
Okay.
force. I'm disappointed that when we lost an officer, when I first took the job, we had 16 police officers, we're now at 14.
Mhm.
The last officer we lost was the drug task force officer.
Okay.
So that's, because people, I have a few complaints, and they say, I can see that house across the street,
Right.
and I can tell you that house, they sell drugs out of that house. Why the police is not out there to catch them? So the answer is that you don't have the resources to stay there for a week.
I don't, and, when you do pull a car over, you have to have probable cause. They have to be speeding, or a headlight out, or not use a turn signal. You can't just say, I think that guy just went there and bought drugs, so I'm gonna pull that car over
Right.
and go through the car. That's totally illegal. You can't do that to people.
No, not unless you witness that act happening.
Yeah.
The drug task force officer, is that a year-to-year thing? And if it is, how would you handle replacing an officer? Would it be like the resource officer, you replace him with a part-time person for that year, or overtime? How?
No, the only way to do the drug task force would be to
Hire
Hire
to
someone.
hire a full-time officer and then assign an officer to the drug task force, because it's not a school year thing, it's a full year.
Full-time.
And when we were on it, individuals within my organization expressed their interest, and then I made the final decision as to who was assigned to it.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you, thanks.
The other thing with the police department is the new facility. I know that was my committee, but they've been stalled when we were dealing with the county of this grant proposal.
And as I said, I just want to wait to see if the county is awarded the money, which I think probably they will. So if they award the money and we're still discussing it, because in my mind, I don't see any benefits, but I promise to be open to that. So if they want to spend the money to
They would do a study.
do a study, because these general answers, the two of you are going to spend $7 million, but if we go together, we're going to spend $5 million, so this is a $2 million savings. Well, no, because if I do it myself, it's going to be $3 million, let's say, or $2 million, so it's not.
Right. So,
So-
I mean, that's what
We need a number there.
It's stalled at this point.
Yeah,
I feel like I'm spinning my wheels on this one, and I really would like to get moving with this facility, and also would make a lot of changes within this building that would be very
Me too.
beneficial for our community.
Do we even have a study as to how much it will cost?
Well, there is a study.
To some degree.
But is it an old
study
one?
Of money, because we have a study as to what we need
Right.
in the
Yeah, we
new
do.
facility. And then somebody who saw it gave us a number from the top of his head, and
Right.
it's not something specific.
Right, this one, so we don't really have anything to compare if we were to get, if money is awarded through a grant to do a
Well,
combined facility.
That's
That's
the study. The study is to see.
Oh, it'll
exactly-
compare whether we go
Exactly.
alone or do it together.
Exactly, the same
Okay.
way as we did with the water district.
Okay,
I asked specifically for comparison study
Okay.
from them. and they
Because
said they would
otherwise, this
provide it.
makes no sense
right,
to
well,
even
that's what I
discuss
was,
it.
right, okay, yeah.
It just doesn't, seems to move quickly enough.
Okay, I'm just going to step back just a little bit. The fire department, Senator Young apparently announced this last week that she was able to find $500,000 for fire departments under request for grants. I guess there'd be $10,000 per grant. And our department is going to apply for that, and there is no match. It's just $10,000. So they feel that Brian Walker feels that we should be in line for that. It is very nice that Senator Young has found that for the police department, so we can look forward to him applying for that. Huh?
Fire.
I'm sorry, fire departments. I
Was it
was going
specifically
backwards.
for something
Fire
in
departments.
specific? What was this grant, $10,000 for?
No,
Equipment,
it could be for
SCBA's?
safety equipment, it could be anything.
I think it's for safety.
Safety, I think
Yeah,
it has
it's
to do
for
with
safety.
safety. He'll find something to make that fit. It'll save our community
Got $10,000
That-
worth of savings.
for that
Yeah, that's
upgrade
good.
of equipment. So it was very great. So anyhow, that's with the police department, fire and police. The building inspector's office, where's Steve at? Do you know with his
Certification.
certifications? Because the point was to be at some point to appoint a new chief of that building inspector, code enforcement officer, for that department. And then we would have to then put somebody into Steve's position, the clerk. Where are we at that right now?
We're nowhere, it's in the county, and that's a civil service test. He
So it's
took the
just a
test,
matter-
now it's up to the county to grade the test and then come up with a
List.
list.
That's what I was
And then-
wondering.
And then once you get the list, then you can go ahead and canvass the list. Of course, he has to be in the top 3 in order to
Do we
be
know
reachable.
when that comes out, or there's no
They
time?
don't tell you any of
They
that.
don't. Okay, it's unfortunate, so we'll have to wait on that. The rental housing property code that
We worked a lot with Chuck on that, and we have some preliminary recommendations. I'm just waiting for an attorney to be appointed, because the committee that I have ready to start working on that, some recommendations, we need an attorney there.
So
And the
that-
same thing with the alcohol, putting
Yeah,
a
open
committee
container
together.
consumption code.
Yeah.
Same thing.
But
And probably even the
without
food-
an attorney.
Food truck code resolution.
I didn't think about the food truck in that, but the rental and the open container.
We'll probably all, we'll have to wait till we have the attorney in place.
Right.
The sign code, which we, is moving forward, as we did receive the email from Rick about where that is. We're waiting
Well,
for the
it's
county.
in the county.
Right,
yeah.
mhm. The sign code, and then it'll come for public hearing, correct? Okay, and but,
With that sign code, I am still trying to get to the bottom of that offensive language, as you know, to ask the question to, so I'm trying to ask it of the district attorney's office, and they're extremely busy, because it really is more of a civil issue than it is a criminal issue, even though we're citing a section of the criminal procedure law with regard to offensive or obscene language. My concern is that by putting a penal law section into the local ordinance, it may be protected speech under the penal law. That's not to say that under a local ordinance we couldn't say it's illegal, but that's not how it's worded right now. The way it's worded right now is it cites a penal law section.
And that's why I contacted you,
Yeah,
because
and
I knew that you
I just
had.
want you to know I'm working on it, but
okay,
the specific incident I'm dealing with is the individual has in their window facing another house derogatory language about their neighbor.
Really?
And they also have that written on no
Oh, you don't know
trespassing
about that?
signs
No,
that
I
are
didn't know about
posted
that.
right down the property line
Oh, my
with
gosh.
derogatory language written
This
on
is
no
unusual.
trespassing signs. And it truly has been a mental
I mean, there is,
hardship for the neighbor who's had to get up every day and look at it.
there
We've been
is,
dealing with this for 2 years now.
there is,
What about disorderly conduct?
It doesn't, I've asked the district attorney's office, they've researched it, and under the penal law, it doesn't violate the penal law.
what can't,
Criminal
what
procedure
about then
law.
code,
not
because
a-
it is,
It's not a,
So,
offensive language is covered in the sign law.
yeah,
but-
under the penal law.
We
Right,
don't
it's-
That's the
define,
problem. We've got,
in
we're
our
combining civil and
ordinance,
criminal.
we don't define offensive language.
Right.
What we say is, as defined by the penal law.
Mhm.
And we could have, right?
I believe we could, that is the question.
Right,
Can we
okay.
Then we
define
do it.
offensive language
Right.
and make it more restrictive than the penal law and say you can't put up signs?
Because if it's the same as before, we have the same problem, still you're not going to be able to go there and take it down.
Well, you can cite them, Chuck can cite them, and then, and if they don't.
Not if they don't break any law.
If it's offensive.
It's not offensive under the penal law, that's the problem.
Well, we don't define offensive in our
They
ordinance.
do,
We don't
yeah.
define it. If we would define offensive,
How's it defined in the penal law?
there is no such word as offensive language in the penal law. It's obscene language.
Okay,
Right,
obscene.
And the problem is it's very loose. And then when you're talking about putting it on a sign and if it's not a threat, then if I don't come up to you and say I'm going to physically harm you in such way,
Mhm.
then there's a freedom of speech issue at hand that says I'm allowed to call you all kinds of really bad things.
What about like libel or slander?
Well, that's civil.
Okay, that's what I was, okay.
So I'm hoping, I mean, it's horrible that we actually have to have this conversation. That we
But there are
actually have
people in
to
our
create a
community who
law
do
that
this.
tells people you can't put signs up saying derogatory and offensive things to your
Well,
neighbors.
jerks ruin it for everyone.
There is one
That's for
section
sure.
that there is one piece here for the no trespassing signs, because the other thing that the individual has done is that about every 3 feet, they put up a no trespassing sign down that property line. And the new law says you can only have one no trespassing sign on each property line.
Mhm.
So that will be of some help. I wish we had a setback to that. I wish it had to be, because what they've done is they put it right on the property line, which almost made it impossible for this individual
To
to
park.
use her driveway.
Oh.
She can't swing in and out of her driveway because they put the signposts right on the property line, which,
That's not covered under any other code? Usually there's a setback for everything, right? You
Well,
gotta be within 3 feet or,
there's no setback that
Not
I
for
can see
signage?
in reviewing the law. There's no setback I can see for private, for residential areas.
hmm,
Maybe I'm missing it, but I
All right.
can't.
Yeah, there is setbacks for intersections and obstructions.
Yeah, obstruction of views.
Views of, that might fit if, I don't know the word it is, but as far as turning in or out of, I mean, if it's obstructing traffic, which is.
It's not exactly obstructing, if you pass by, you see it, it's not obstructing traffic, it's right there on the line, and the driveway is very, it's kind of narrow, so you can hear
That would be
it.
something Chuck-
The other
Chuck would do.
problem I'm having is even if we do get the setback provision,
It wouldn't change.
she can't afford to get a survey done. So I can't prove where the
Mhm.
property line is.
we don't have that on
Because
record here.
The victim simply can't afford a survey. So there are some issues that, but if I'm really, I guess I'm saying, we may want to wait for the attorney on this
Right.
again,
Right.
as we are with the other laws, to make sure we do it right. Let's do it once and do it right.
Speaking of signs, tomorrow is the official, as our code is today, tomorrow is actually the official day that signs can go out associated with the event having to do with our elections. And our code is specific and it will be changed slightly when we adopt the new sign code, which, and there is a timeline associated with both. I know the observer incorrectly stated that there wasn't, but there is a timeline. It's currently 21 days prior to the election, and the new sign code states there will be 30 days prior to the election, and there is a time after where they have to be removed. So, but there was, the observer mistakenly stated that numerous times, actually. So tomorrow is the official starting date this year. Okay, so we move on to the next questions. Parks and Recreation area, Barker a common grant contract and proposals for the project for bid process. Where are we on that? I know we discussed the possibility of going forward with the bid process, even if we don't have the contract back from the state yet. Can we do that, and where are we?
We can, and actually today, I think I forwarded you a new email from Nate
Right.
that we
That was
need
today,
to
yeah.
do it
Mhm.
I think I got
now.
it.
So as soon as you have some time to just review it quickly, he said he put some, he'd seen some things, he corrected some things as per
Well, I
Done
quickly
the
read
quote.
through it, there's some things that are missing in
Well, and
that.
you know,
Non-collusion clauses and insurance clauses.
I don't think I got any of those emails.
So, you know,
And-
and then
I
these
mean-
things are not quick. I mean, you have
Right.
to look back at contracts and find out what is our requirement for insurance? Are we going to have a bond, a performance bond associated with this? Aren't we going to have a performance bond associated with it? So there's a lot of different issues with that proposal that's out there right now. So as soon as I get these state reports done, I'll be able to do that. But I can't swing away from those because those state reports have to be filed timely. And I am so far behind, I don't even know if I can make the deadline.
right, something that, to say not about that, but Andrew Carapella stopped by today. Actually, he called last week, and he came for a permit here, and he saw the steps in the front, and just because he's a mason, he looked down, and he texted me that they are actually unsafe. Fundamentally, that's what he believes, that they are fundamentally unsafe, because they have a lot of erosion from the salt. We discussed that. And actually, the one we took out, if you see that the one above it, it starts to cave in. So he recommends that we get an engineer report for that, because obviously he can't see the other side because we're not open, the other side is not open. He imagine, and I imagine the same thing, that is about the same. And
So what you're saying is he's recommended that we construct a new foundation for the steps.
Rebuild the steps.
yeah,
So,
that
and
he,
he must-
and
he would like a engineer designed foundation.
an engineer to evaluate and see where we are, exactly. I mean, not that he can do the job now, but an engineer to evaluate exactly where we are. I mean, my problem is we shut down totally the front steps. That's that was my question, and he said yes at the beginning, and then he couldn't take actually the responsibility to tell me something like that.
Just for safety, I think we should,
Safety.
And is this?
and liability,
Is this going to put
Exactly.
those front steps out of commission for the entire winter,
probably.
or do you think that they could get it done beforehand? If we have to get a study for that, then it's going to put the
I don't know if
Even
we-
a contractor is a nightmare.
I don't know if we're gonna
At this-
find anybody,
Yeah,
yeah.
at this time of the year, you're not gonna get.
I mean, he's full to April,
Oh,
as
he
he
is.
told me, yes.
But there's other contractors if possible, but.
Well, that's why we wanted to take that step out, to take a look at what's underneath, so that any contractor that would come here to take a look at it, which we're having a hard time having
Just
to
give
do
me
that,
time.
Well, the-
they can take a look underneath there and see what's going on without having an
Well,
engineer, you know,
Mhm.
because that obviously, ka-ching, that's
That does
an extra cost associated
No matter
with
if
it.
it's-
I know that those steps on the side, that go up to the Opera House, those things imploded on themselves, they literally just collapsed on top of themselves.
And the way he was talking, that's the problem.
Yeah, you could see it, but although the one side, you don't have the gaps that you have on the side where we took
Right.
the step off, those gaps were
They
getting,
got big quick.
yeah, and then all of a sudden, then I came in one
So we did
morning
too.
and then it just
Yeah.
had cracked because it
My
had
problem is,
fell.
if we have a bigger problem on that side, these are connected. I mean, they can be one side totally safe, while the other one is.
Well, they're not
absent.
connected. They're individual.
There's a wall
If you look
between
at them,
them.
they're kind of staggered as you go up. It's like a,
Like
like
bricks.
a hardwood floor, you know, they don't
Mhm.
put them all, you know, all the seams in the same place. Same
Mhm.
thing with the steps. The seams are offset with each other. So they're not all connected. If you look, you can shut down probably half of the other side, and then that would take care of all the offsets, so you have like two sets of those concrete steps on the right side that we have closed off now. There's two separate steps there, so.
And he seemed to think that the whole construction should have been done differently with a sub-base, and then on top of that, because there's no base there, it's just
Mhm.
walls, and on top of the walls. So he seemed to think that the whole construction was not done very properly.
I heard the same thing when they opened up, you know, when this one imploded, same thing. They said that whoever put these steps in didn't know what they were doing.
Did that one require an engineer then?
No,
It didn't, to be fair.
we just had them come in and take tore it
And who,
apart.
so who did it? The other ones?
Grace.
Huh?
Grace.
Grace did the other one?
Yeah, and well, he was
I mean-
subcontracted through Tobone.
Okay.
Oh, I mean, so is that something that we should? we
Well,
could look
Matt
at
Grace
then?
is the one that's looking at it. I sent pictures
Right.
of the sign, for the sign.
Yep.
He's the one that's also looking at
Oh,
the
he's gonna
steps.
look at the
Again, trying to get him here is a nightmare. It's, you know,
Mhm.
they're so busy that I guess he teaches up at the BOCES.
Yeah.
And, you know, so the time that he has to do, you know, to do this, I guess he does it with his father. His father
I'm
is
just
like
very much
75 years
concerned
old or
about
something. He's pretty,
Safety, and with the winter coming, I'm just very much concerned about safety.
Could you,
Yeah.
You know,
I
when,
mean, I don't think if you contact him again to see how his schedule's going.
well, I did. I just had an email exchange with him, well, I think it was when he sent me those pictures.
Oh,
And he said, I'll get down there as soon as I can. I said, I'd like to get
I mean, that'd be nice.
some, now that we have that step pulled away and you can see under there, I said, I'd like to get a more solid proposal from you.
Okay.
And,
so he
but
he or
wasn't-
somebody is going to do it without an engineering study?
Yeah, he can do that, yeah.
If he did the other
If
one, I
it's
mean,
necessary.
then it'll be
Yeah.
fine. It's just a matter of, if he's,
They do it.
but he hasn't given us a proposal yet, is what, I guess that's
No,
what we need to
but
have.
when he initially came, we didn't have the step off. So he was like looking through the, you know, there's a
Right.
crack this big in
Okay.
the thing. He was with his flashlight looking in there and he couldn't see, so that's when I had the street department come and pull that step out.
Right.
They took it down to the street department, probably had to toss it anyway, but they took it down to the street department.
I'll take
and, you know, at least they could get a look at what's
I need
going
it.
on, and you can see the,
This will, we'll have to be very careful as to do it right this time.
yeah,
Because,
exactly.
Right.
Yeah.
if we have the same problem in 5, 6, 10 years,
Right, I don't want
it's,
that.
I mean, an expense that we
I mean,
should.
if Terrapella wasn't giving us a proposal on it, then, I mean, I can't agree to it doing, you know, he's not the one doing the work, he's not requesting an engineering study, but if the other guy doesn't feel he needs an engineering to do it, then
He said
I don't
he
see
can,
the reason to spend the money.
he said he can actually look at it and tell us his opinion, but he would prefer an engineer to have the responsibility.
Mhm.
That's how he put it. And it's like, I'm a physician, I know how to see an X-ray, but I would prefer a radiologist to give me a report,
Mhm.
so he can put his signature. But anyways, let's see what this gentleman can do.
Okay.
What's his name?
Just so-
Paul Tabone is supposed to come and look at it too. You finished the concrete over there, I
Right.
told him, you know, come over to Village Hall, take a look at it, but these guys are,
We need to get it done, that's the thing, I mean,
it probably won't get done this year.
I can't imagine.
No.
If we do end up shutting down that front step, we really need to get the back door in the basement. That's not functioning.
Yeah, no.
Well, that's
That's
another-
got to do with that.
Well, you're gonna be down to two doors
Safety,
for all village
egress
hall.
for safety, yeah. We
I mean,
need
out of
to-
the side doors and the basement door. I mean, aside from the emergency exits for the Opera House are all there. So this
Right.
isn't an Opera House issue, this is just, I'm just sharing.
What door is that?
The basement
We're going out to
door,
The
the,
basement, yeah.
out to the parking lot.
Where the restrooms are, and they go straight up, but that one
Oh,
is,
okay, yeah, I know.
not functional.
right now I get the pleasure of all your garbage coming through the police department on its way out to the dumpster. Because that's what the cleaner does with all the garbage for Village Hall.
And so that's another,
Takes it through the
that's
police
another repair
department,
that needs
through
to
my
be
interview
done.
room,
Mhm.
and out to the dumpster.
Whenever
So-
he comes, he gets it.
Is there, we don't.
That was all rotted due to a prior situation with the drainage in that
Right.
area, which I think has been fixed when they ran new drainage through the driveway.
So is there, I don't think we've had any mention of having that repaired. Is there something that we can do to move that forward, get that repaired too?
Call a contractor.
Yeah, exactly. Get a contract.
We don't-
We need a study and then a
So,
resolution
can we
and then a.
look at getting that fixed too? I mean, it needs to be fixed. I don't know.
No doubt it needs to be fixed, it's getting a contractor to fix it.
Well,
Because it's not just the door, it's the framing and everything. Everything there is just rotted, the
Well,
whole.
yeah, but somebody
The
needs
whole
to do it.
building is
So who do
rotting.
I mean, like I said,
That's a nightmare, I know.
it needs to be
And also,
requested.
since we talk about this, winter is coming and my office is freezing again.
Because we don't have, you know.
Well, last year it wasn't working, so I just want to make sure that this year, no, last year it didn't work. I mean, I was
All the
freezing.
heating,
in my-
No, we've
And then it's
replaced
too
the
hot up
thermostat.
here.
The thermostat was bad.
It was a thermostat?
Yeah, we replaced
Okay.
that.
All right, that's
So if we
good
get somebody
then.
to fix that door too, that'd be great. At least ask someone to do that.
I really don't know who to ask. I mean, Rick, I'm sitting here.
Who fixes doors?
Well, because it's concrete too. It's a
Right.
really heavy,
Oh,
thick
it's
gauge
concrete.
steel.
I don't know if
That-
glass might.
Goes
handle
into
that.
the
New doors
foundation
and
of the
stuff.
building,
I
up
don't
and
know.
around to even call for that. kind of
Obviously,
work.
somebody does this kind of work.
We need a new
Install
village
buildings
hall.
all the time, so.
Well, I think you need to rely on your cleaner or your DPW guy to tell you who to call. I wouldn't even know who to call. I wouldn't. I just wouldn't even know who.
Tom Hawk, that's who built my porch.
This is.
Tom Hawk.
Oh,
Okay, that's the village hall. Administration, office, you said you have a lot going on. I know we've talked the possibility of getting some help in your additional office help. You've been without that for quite a long time. Is there any interest in possibility working that into our budget for another person to help you?
I
You
could
have to
look
do
it up.
that next year, you
Well,
can't.
I know, but, I mean, we didn't have it in this year's budget, but,
Right.
in the next year.
Like another secretary?
Another secretary. There's so much.
I think that would be very helpful.
There's so much
actually.
that needs to be done, and obviously this list goes on. And so many reports that Rick needs to fill out, it'd be very helpful to have somebody back into that department. We could only do without staffing for so many years, claiming you're saving money. So the thing is things get kicked down the road for too long, and you're not saving money anymore. The repairs continue to increase in cost. The cost of repair gets higher every year with the same repair. Things need to be done. And if we had an additional staff in that department, I think that a lot more can be done in an efficient manner.
To put it in the budget, right?
I
Budget for that.
Rick, with hiring a secretary help you do the budgets
that's-
and stuff.
No,
I mean, what's taking up your time right now is a lot of attorney issue, like going over contracts and stuff like that. I mean, I totally agree with you, but I think that's not really gonna help your job at all.
Right.
Well,
We got a
well,
little-
Time, maybe not this particular time, but Rick does work, secretarial work, as I do too, because there's nobody else to do it. So, although these reports that he has to file now, obviously nobody else can file them.
Those are those are
Right.
financial reports.
But I'm sure
I'm not disagreeing, but,
Yeah.
I mean, it's not
Smaller.
gonna.
Yeah, once we have an attorney, there probably
That-
will be
Exactly.
That'll
That's
change
difference.
some things, but
Right.
there's so much more that needs to be done.
Right.
That Rick shouldn't be doing he's doing secretarial work that he shouldn't be doing.
No
And
more
it's
standing.
consuming his time. So I think that
Stop.
he could, that's the way it is. And I just think that we really need to strongly look at that.
Sometimes
Um,
secretarial work takes a lot of time. It's not difficult.
Right, 'cause it's detail
Making
oriented.
appointments,
I understand.
Yeah.
He's calling people, making other appointments, setting up interviews. He doesn't have to be doing that. He could be doing the stuff till he's not behind, like he says right now, he's behind on something, and he wants to get out. If he wasn't calling people for interviews and then arranging all these things, what a secretary would do, then certainly he would
I
be
mean,
on
I'm
schedule.
not sure if we can put like a full-time secretary, but maybe
Part-time?
Person would be helpful and much more financially,
Right.
Feasible.
easier on the village.
Right, so anyhow, this is, if that would be
Yep.
something we could look into, please. And of course, the job description associated with that in the people in the department, maybe to redirect things, to make things easier for everybody in the administration office. That would be very helpful into this year. Also, I think that, I know we've talked about creating a director of development, or have a position for that, and a department for that. That person could then administer grants, write grants, and then as we...
Again, do a lot of the stuff that Rick's been doing in terms of,
A lot of the stuff Rick's been doing, that department can, as we see in government, the direction that we need to go is to apply for as many grants as possible. This is how we're able to keep our taxes lower, by not paying 100% of everything we do. You apply for the grants, and that person can, the cost of that grant writer would be only a small fraction of what they would be bringing in my opinion, in grants over the year. It would administer, the cost of that person would be covered by far.
Ideally, you want to put a master plan together, and maybe, let's say, I have this idea that the third floor has to be like a bistro or something like that. However, the village has so many undeveloped properties that somebody like that, with the help of the village, not by themselves, and also somebody like a planner, let's say.
suggested this several months ago. We've been talking about this for months.
To
For
go
months,
over
yeah.
all these properties and see, for example, that Cornell lot that I would like the hospital to go to. Well, the hospital is now going there, and now we still have an empty lot, 30 acres. Something has to go there so we can get some taxes out of it.
You do a visioning project, you go through your village and you look at what's there and you look at
But that's what a
how to
plan-
place
that's-
things
Exactly.
where, and then you have a
Like
plan
that.
rather than random growth.
I
That's what
had
that
a phone
department
call
would do.
from
Right.
a company in Texas that, I'm very reluctant to pursue, but that's what they're doing. They can bring retail, or they can bring whatever else they think is good for the area. Well, I would prefer somebody who lives around here. I would prefer somebody who is local, because all of a sudden I don't want, like they say, a Target there. When we're trying to develop the downtown, put a Target right there, and, the whole plan is exploded.
Although I was just in State College, of course, it's a lot bigger, many more people, but there is a Target right downtown, and it has a very small footprint, and it's not like big, it doesn't have big ugly signs, and it's very attractive, and it fits right into the downtown,
But it's
which I was
downtown.
surprised.
But it's downtown.
Right, it's not out on the strip, it's in
it's out in
it's
the
in the
strip.
community, so
Right.
your traffic comes into your community and people spend money in your community rather than out there.
Because if they go there, if the Target goes there, then
Right.
everybody's going to go there. Everybody's going to take the
Right.
cars. and
There are
go
lots
there.
of communities that have chains, although I would prefer local businesses and local business people, but there are ways through your
Design codes.
zoning and your design codes to have chains in your communities that look beautiful and have a small footprint and
And
are
that's
not.
fine.
Yeah.
I-
So there are ways to do it.
Yes,
We just need to
I'm
pursue
totally
those.
fine with that.
Once
And
again, if
I
you-
just don't want something like that to go to that place, because then everything is around them. They have the food, they have the stores, everything is there. So, and that was only an example. I mean, we have so many properties that
There's
somebody
a lot of-
needs to sit
There's a lot of
down.
opportunity, let's put it that way. And we have wonderful, there's a whole lot of, we have an awful lot of new businesses, young entrepreneurs that are coming into our community, trying to start a life.
And that's the other thing that I want to help a lot. We have these new businesses, however, the stores from outside don't look the way they're supposed to. They don't attract people.
Right.
They don't like stand out. And that's what the Main Street grant is all
Will
about.
help them.
Right.
To help that, to
And
put
that's-
a plan together and then help them develop the facade, that let them develop the
And
outside.
the
So
technical
as you
assistance
drive,
grant right now,
out.
that's what we're working on, the technical assistance grant for the Main Street,
Yeah,
correct?
well, as soon as we're done with the park.
With the park, because we, I mean, that's something we should move forward with, is the technical assistance, so the state will then come in and help us deal with that grant, because that's always, you can apply for it, but and when they run out of money for the year, then they're done, so you have to
That's right.
try to get in as early as possible. Once again, a director of development, planning development department would be very beneficial in that, because
And
you
again, I
can't
have
do
to,
everything. You know,
I have to say again, I'm very thankful to Nate
He's been
for all
very
the help.
helpful.
Today, we arranged, I'm going to go to a meeting about sustainability in parking lots and green spaces, because you need to fix the parking lots. And I would like to make them sustainable, so there is next week, there's a seminar actually in Salamanca where he invited me, he's paying for my registration, so I'm
Great.
going next week.
Excellent.
It's about 6 hours there.
Oh, great.
Nice.
So,
How long do we have Nate at our beck and call currently? I know he's funded through grants and so forth, and he's not really our employee.
No.
I mean, somewhere along the line, he's going to be
he's
cutting.
funded through the foundation,
Mhm. I was
and
talking
he's helping
Mhm.
12 communities,
Mhm.
if I'm not mistaken.
He's probably stretched
Maybe
thin.
18.
He is stretched.
But he has a specific amount of money, when this money dries out, then
He's
either
done.
going to give him more or not.
Mhm.
But he's an excellent help, I have to
But he
say.
can't work with us full-time, because he has
Oh,
12
no,
other
right.
communities. That's
Not even
that's the
part-time.
problem.
No,
And he's
not
been
even
very,
part-time.
very helpful this year, immense,
Immensely helpful.
which just reinforces my thoughts on this director of development in that department, that position, because just what he has done has really proved
Kept us in
positive.
the
It's-
right direction.
Right, so, and if you look at all the other communities that are receiving multiple grants, like Olean did, they have a director, they have a planning department, director of development.
Jamestown,
Jamestown.
their corporation.
Yeah, there's, all the ones that I've looked at that are receiving most of the grants out there, they all have them. You'll see very few that ever receive large grants that don't have them. Because it's so much work. There's a huge amount of work going into applying for this. So I'm going to encourage, us to really look forward to putting something like that
Again,
in
it can be a
place.
part-time job.
It could be a part-time.
Yes.
But they also can administer the grants too. There could be someone that actually has that ability. They could do the, instead of going out to hire somebody to administer grants, then they could be in-house.
Let's see how the next budget is going to come about. Yeah, no, you're right. First of May. All right.
I think that's all I have.
That's all?
You sure you don't have anything more?
A little bit longer, I might come up with something.
Ay, 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 ay.
We got till 10 o'clock, I think.
Okay, well, thank you very much for your work, really. I mean, you put all this together. Thank you so very much. All right, so anybody from the public? Okay, well, let's go to executive then, as soon as possible. Anybody that's going to make a motion to go to executive?
Can we do it?
Actual detail.
Yeah, does it have to be read in that specific fashion that we normally go into it?
I can
She's
read it.
got it right here.
Okay, I got it. I hereby make a motion to enter into an executive session to discuss medical, financial, credit, or employment history of a particular persons or matters leading to the appointment, employment, promotion, demotion, discipline, suspension, dismissal, or removal of a particular person.
Second.
Trustee Creedy?
Yes.
Trustee